who made it to the workshop today. What's up, y'all? Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the AW, your forever safe space to chill, feel, and heal. If you're new here, the AW stands for Eretic's Workshop. I'm Eretic, and the workshop is a space for you to sit in your shadows, reflect on your thoughts, and come out on top. How y'all doing? How is everybody doing out there? We back again with another episode, another week, a new fresh Monday. I hope you guys have been doing really good, and I hope that your past week has been good as well. Before we get into this week's episode, I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me through everything that I do. It is very, very appreciative. And just know I see y'all out there. There's been a few of you guys, a handful of you guys that's like, I'm getting my notebook, I'm writing these shadow working prompts down, and you guys are just touching my little heart. So I'm so glad I can help you guys get to work and help you guys just see a different side of yourself, because it's not easy out here. It's not easy to sit with yourself, see that shadow aspect of yourself, and still be happy about your light side. You know, it's not easy to just celebrate yourself, but also bring yourself to the table. So I'm proud of y'all. If no one has told you, if no one knows you're going through this journey, I know you're going through this journey, and I'm glad to be on this journey with you guys. So the people who have just reached out and told me that they're glad to have someone on their journey with them, they're glad that they're not alone in this journey. I'm here, y'all. I am here, not going nowhere. And I'm just happy for y'all. I'm happy for y'all. I'm happy for me. I'm glad that we can just elevate out here, because we don't need to be pretending like everything's all good. But I will get off of my soapbox now. And we will go ahead and get this show started with the good old first segment of every show. Spin the block. Let's go, y'all. So if you're new here, Spin the Block is basically just a weekly catch up with me to see what I've been up to, because I like to talk about myself sometimes. So my week, it's been cool. It's been all right. I mean, I kind of have been just a little sad because I just really want to get out of corporate. I really want to get out of it, but it's like, don't sit and sulk in it. Do something about it. What you gonna do to get out of corporate, you know? So I'm just, trying to do some background things, trying to figure out what I want to do, because I can't stay there, y'all. And I don't want to come on here every week on Spin the Block talking about how much I hate corporate. I can't do it. So I'm just trying to figure out some things, get my life together, get my life in order. But in the meantime, I got myself, I got my friends, I got, activities and hobbies that I like to do just to keep me sane. And I just won't stress about it. I can't stress about it, even though it brings me down some days. I allow myself to feel those feelings, but then I just have to remember, hey, look, until things change, you're going to have to learn some patience, girl. And you just going to have to muster up the courage to just keep going. Just keep going. Okay. Until things happen the way they're supposed to happen. Don't force nothing. But I am looking for other jobs, because there got to be a corporate job out there that I can at least be cool with until I reach what I want to reach. I don't think I have to necessarily be miserable while I'm chasing my dreams. I just don't believe that. So I'm like, there got to be something out there that's better than this, And, I'm not going to like any corporate job I go to, but the one I'm at now is just it's just hard to find the joy in it, because just the whole company is just kind of negative, and I don't like being in negative spaces. Because when you are in negative spaces, it spreads, you know what I'm saying? So it makes you be negative, even though you don't want to be negative. If you want to connect with your coworkers, you kind of got to get into the chitter chatter about stuff, even though if you don't really want to. So I just have to play the field for now, y'all. And, I hope I can get out soon. So anywho, that's been my week. It's been chill. Nothing crazy has happened. One of my great friends is coming in this Friday because he is a flight attendant. So the perks of that means whenever he lands in my city, he gets to come see me. So I'm just like, light it up. Light it up, y'all. I'm ready, because if you guys don't know, I am going on in about, I would say 3 weeks. I will hit my 1 year anniversary in a new city where I know absolutely nobody but my coworkers. So I'm out here thugging it, and it's just so nice to have a familiar face and a familiar soul and body in my city to make me feel home again. Even if that person doesn't live where I used to live, they're home to me. So I'm just excited that I get to see them. It won't be for like a whole weekend or anything, but I'll take a 13-hour layover. All right, I will take that so that I can see my friend and we can have a good time. So I'm excited, and I just know our little Friday evening is going to be so lit before he has to go back to work on Saturday. So yeah, but aside from that, I'm still planning my trip that I'm going to take in September. So that's going to be exciting to go to that music festival I was telling you guys about. And yeah, other than that, it's been pretty chill. So I'm very grateful for that. Nothing breaking over here. No breaking news to share. And that's a blessing. That's a good thing. We don't want to have breaking news every week. Okay. But y'all just, throw a cross fingers up in the air for your girl to get a new job so that I can be a little bit more happier in my life. And I just hope you guys are doing what you need to do for yourself as well. If you don't like that job, leave. If you don't like where you're at, move. If you don't like your friends that you currently have, get new ones. If you don't like your family members, cut them out. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do for you. You deserve to be happy. Aside from that, that is all I got for Spin the Block. And I hope you guys found some ease in my week, because that's how it's been feeling. It's just been easy. It's been cool, aside from, the negative things that happen in my mind. But the physical part of my life, easy breezy. I have things to look forward to. So let's go ahead and get into a word from the fam. So this week's word from the fam comes from, I don't know. I don't know who said this. I really don't. But I thought it was a good quote to share with you guys because it just ties into us as people, you as an individual. It's a great quote to help. So the quote is, it takes more confidence and bravery to be yourself than to be someone else. Let me say that again. It takes more confidence and bravery to be yourself than to be somebody else. So I want you guys to take note of that. We often find ourselves, like I said in the who I am versus who I want to be episode, we find ourselves looking on social media. We find ourselves looking outside of ourselves and try to emulate what other people are doing. And that's easy. It's easy to copy people. So why don't you be different and be yourself? There's not another you out here. Be confident, step into your bravery, and just be your authentic self, because there's no doper person out here than you. And if you don't believe that you're a dope person, then I'll be damned, you're not a dope person. You got to believe it first before anyone else will believe you. And for the people who are already confident and brave enough to stand in their own authenticity, don't get so flustered or upset when someone copies your style. Take it as a compliment. Be like, you know what, I'm doing something right, because no one would copy someone who isn't doing something right. People like to take good ideas and take good creations and put their name on it as if it's theirs. So whether you're on the side of the spectrum where you're not confident enough to be yourself, or you are super confident enough to be yourself, just remember, either take it as a compliment if you're already confident and someone's copying you, and living your truth if you're copying someone else. Just be you and be grateful that you get to be you and no one else, because we all know we don't know what people are going through, but we do know what we're going through. And we do know that we want to live the life that we want to live. And yes, you can get inspired by other people. No one's saying don't look at other people at all. We have inspirations in life. We have people who, help us get to the next level because of the things they did. But that doesn't mean copy them and try to be just like them. That means take a piece, see how you can learn from it, see how you can apply it to yourself. Take the principle from things. Don't take the actual work. Just take the principles, put it towards your personality and who you are, and keep it going. You'll be so successful. So I'll leave you guys with that quote, that lovely inspirational quote for this week. If you like to be featured on a word from the fam, anytime, anywhere, Make sure that you guys follow us on our social media handles at thea.w.podcast on IG and TikTok. And you can also leave a comment on SoundCloud and YouTube if you want to watch this podcast. If you're a person who just wants to listen, I understand. Not everybody wants to watch on YouTube. You can listen on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So I can't wait to see what you guys have whenever you guys feel that you want to drop a glimmer of hope, a quote of inspiration, anything like that. I'll be here to feature you here. So just let me know. So it is finally time to get into the topic of the day. So let's head over to the fellowship hall, you guys, and get ready for fellowship hour. This episode is about forgiveness. And I had to be honest, y'all, I had a real hard time planning this episode. Like, if you look at the rest of my episodes that I planned in my notebook, they're like pages long. And this one was like a page and a half or so. And I was just like, that's interesting. Why can't I plan out more? Why can't I think more about forgiveness? And it just made me realize that, a lot of us, we talk about forgiveness, but how many of us actually forgive? How many of us actively participate in forgiveness? We can talk all day, but when it comes to actually sitting down and forgiving something, someone, or ourselves, it's not that common. It's really not that common. So before we get into that, what we're going to be exploring today is forgiving yourself, forgiving others, and forgiving situations that you've been in, and what it looks like to forgive people, what it doesn't look like. And of course, I'm going to always give you an example, because where's the authenticity if I don't expose myself a little bit? So I'm definitely going to give you guys some examples of how I have forgiven and how I've not forgiven. And yeah, so much more. So I hope you guys find so much love, light, and joy in this topic, because honestly, it was a hard one to plan. It was a hard one because I was like, man, I don't think I've forgiven that well, but I have in some situations, just not as well as I thought I did. So like I was saying at the beginning, we talk a lot about forgiveness, but we don't see that many actions behind it. I want to say, a lot of us feel scared to forgive people. We feel as if we forgive people, or we forgive ourselves, or we forgive situations we've been in, that shows a sign of weakness. It means that we don't stand up for ourselves. It means that we are pushovers. We allow people to just walk all over us, or whatever the case is, or we don't show our strength if we don't keep our guard up. And that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness to me is understanding a situation, understanding a person, understanding yourself, where they were at that time, what the circumstances were in that situation, and realizing that, hey, we're human, we make mistakes, and how you go about that after that is really where your strength comes in. It's not the whole act of forgiving in general. Because like I said, people feel like when you forgive someone that you just let them come back and do whatever they want. Or when you forgive yourself, then you're not putting enough discipline or accountability on yourself. People feel as if you're letting yourself slide, you're letting everyone else slide, or you're letting the situation slide. And in this society, don't nobody like to let nothing slide, which is a good thing. We need to stick up for ourselves. We need to be able to voice and communicate the things that bother us or the things that hurt us. But at what point do we let that get in the way of forgiving? To me, forgiving is so important. It's really important because if you don't forgive people, you walk around with this heaviness on your chest. You walk around with so much baggage, so much just unwanted emotion that you haven't worked through because you're too scared to forgive somebody. You want to hold on to it so bad because you want to be either the victim in the situation, you want to prove a point in the situation, or you just simply are bullheaded and stubborn and you just are like, nah. You did this thing, or you put me in this situation, or this situation occurred, or I did this thing, and I'm gonna hold myself accountable because that's what I do to everybody else, or I'm gonna keep playing this one thing that I did in my head over and over again because I feel like it was my fault, and like why was I so stupid to do something like that? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? So there's so many different scenarios when it comes to forgiveness. And honestly, I feel like this episode is right on time because I've been watching this TV show, which I told y'all last week, like once I get into the TV world, it's over. It's over, okay? I just finished up Money Heist. I think I told y'all that last week. So I just finished that up and I came across this show called All American on Netflix. And I know it's like top of the charts right now on Netflix, but I had seen it for about a year or so. And every time it came across my list of like, maybe you'll like this or, things related to things you watch or whatever, I was always like, I'm not going to watch this. Like, I do not want to watch no football movie, no sports movie, no, what is that movie called? Dang, I forgot it. It was like the first original, like, not the first original, but it was a very classic football movie. Dang, it was the one with the big black guy and the white lady, and she helped him out. I feel like his name was Mike or something like that. I don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But ever since that movie came out, I was like, I'm not watching another movie like this. I just had a personal vendetta against those type of movies. And so, of course, this is a TV show, but it always came up under Black stories. And I was just like, why? Like, because a Black dude's going to play football or whatever. So I was just kind of like, I didn't know. I didn't know how I felt about it. And I was just like, I'm not going to watch this. Like, no. And so the other day, I got done watching Money Heist and I was just like, I need to watch something else. All my reality shows are kind of like on a hiatus. I've been waiting for Seeking Sister Wives to come out and stuff like that. Yeah, I watch crazy shit. I don't care. But that show popped up and I was like, let me just watch the first episode. Like, let me just see. I've been dodging it for like a year or so. Y'all, why am I on season 2, episode 4? Like, I've been in it and they got like 4 seasons and I was like, this is so good. Like, now I'm caping for it. But more of the story, because you're probably like, what this got to do with forgiveness? This episode came right on time because I started watching that show and I feel like a lot of this show's premise is about forgiveness. There's so many things that have happened that have caused many of the characters to have to forgive a lot of different people at a lot of different times for a lot of different scenarios in their lives. And so just when I thought I was at a loss for words for this episode, this TV show comes and I'm like, yeah, okay, this helps. This helps a lot. So when I say not forgiving and not being able to talk about these things or holding people accountable and then letting it go, if you're not able to do that, you walk around with the heaviness. They're not walking around with that heaviness because most people, when they do something, they're like, it is what it is. I said what I said. I did what I did. They can either get over it or we can part ways. And there are people, of course, it's like half the population's like that, but the other half is like, oh my God, why did I do that to that person? I'm just driving myself crazy. So that's where that aspect of forgiving yourself comes in. So that's where I want you guys to start when it comes to thinking about forgiveness and what it looks like for you and what it doesn't look like for you. First, think about the lasting and long effects it's going to have on you when you don't forgive something, someone, or yourself. And then think about all the possibilities of how great you can feel, the positive side of things when you deal with those issues and you forgive someone, something, or yourself. The first thing you need to think about is how heavy it feels to keep that burden on you of just holding that grudge against somebody or, whatever you're holding a grudge against. So earlier I was talking about how people feel as if forgiving someone or something makes you feel weak, look weak, or as if you don't have any boundaries to say. So to me, what it looks like for forgiveness is to, of course, have a conversation about whatever is bothering you, understand where people were at, where they're coming from, what the circumstance was for that situation, and see what you need to do from that point on. Is the outcome of that situation or that conversation you had with whoever a deal breaker for you, a non negotiable, anything like that? And if so, then you know how you need to move. But just because you have to move in a certain direction, if it's a non-negotiable for you or you're not able to deal with those type of things, it doesn't mean you need to hold on to that hate or hold on to that grudge and just be like, this person is just scum to me or this situation really left a bad taste in my mouth. I'll never do nothing like that again because they had me messed up. You rob yourself of experiences and joys and different people that you can connect with when you hold grudges on like that. You close your heart off and you don't allow anyone to come in and show you like, hey, I'm not like that. I'm like this. And I'm going to show you that there's people in here in the world that can treat you in this kind of way. I'm going to show you that there's different situations that you can be in. But if you continue to hold on to that grudge and don't forgive the things that you've been through and the people that have caused these things, you won't ever be able to see the new side of things. You won't ever be able to cross that threshold of, this life over here is better. If I would have kept thinking that all people treat me like this, or all situations that go this type of way are going to end up like this, I would have never experienced the other side of things, the lighter side of things. I would have just held on to that darkness and thought that everything in my world in that type of realm was going to be dark. And so you rob yourself of the experience if you don't forgive. So like I was saying, what it looks like to forgive to me personally is to figure out what direction you need to go in a situation, whether it's if you need to continue to have a relationship with that person or if not. That's really like the biggest thing, to go this way or to not. And if you do have a relationship with that person, whatever type of dynamic it is, what are your boundaries so that you don't continue to go through the same thing that you went through? And if you can't get over the fact of what happened, then you're going to have to go the other way, because going the way with the relationship or continuing to have this person in your life and you're not forgiving them is torture for the both of y'all. You keep reliving it, they want to get over it, and they have to keep reliving it with you. And then they start to feel guilty if they want to leave because they can't handle you and the things that you haven't forgiven them for. But in all reality, they deserve to be happy too. They deserve to have that forgiveness. And that doesn't mean that you make them happy and go against your boundaries. Like, they deserve to not have you nagging in their ear all the time about things that have happened. But if making you happy means leaving and going this direction, do that, because you have to be happy first. Don't do what makes them happy. So I think that's where people get mixed up when they're like, don't forgive them because they feel as if they have to let this person back in. And that's not what it is. You can forgive someone and be like, I understand where you were coming from. I personally don't get down like that, but I appreciate you coming to me with such honesty and explaining to me with kindness in your heart where you were coming from. And I want to let you know that I see you, I hear you. This is something that really hurt me deeply. I have to work through this, and I might not forgive you right now. Or I've been working through this and I realize that I don't want to ever feel that pain again, so I need to leave this way. But I forgive you for where you were at. But I feel like that was my lesson with you, and I don't need any more lessons with you type thing, But some people do change. And if you're able to see that in somebody, you're able to forgive them, keep your boundary, keep your distance, or you can stay as close as you want, depending on the situation. There's no black and white to this, it's all about what's going on in the moment, what your emotions were, how deeply you were hurt, and what you learned from that situation. If you learned from that situation that you don't need to mess with this individual anymore, that's your lesson. But you can always have that conversation just for closure, even though people are like, why you need closure? Everybody needs closure, especially if you've had a deep relationship with someone and they portrayed you in a way, or you were in a situation that really bugged you that you can't stop thinking about, you keep beating yourself over about. Having the conversation for closure is always needed and welcomed. So to me, what it looks like to not forgive is to tell someone like, okay, yeah, that's cool. We can continue to do what we've been doing. And then any little trigger that you get, you throw it in their face. And you continue to make them relive and relive and relive the things that they have done to you, the things that you guys have went through that hurt you so deeply, but you allowed them to come back into your life. So it's like giving them a false pretense of, yeah, you can come into my life, but I'm gonna make you pay for it. And we do that a lot, y'all. Like, I know that hit y'all a little bit because a lot of us do that. We're just like, nah, I'm gonna get my lick back. And it's not right. It's not right to do that. But I'm not going to shame anybody for how they act, because we all go through it. We all want to give people their karma when that's not our place. That's not our place to give people their karma. They'll experience it. What you need to do is worry about yourself. Continuing to go down the same path with people or the same situations that you've been through, and you want to play victim and continue to do those things, it's only hurting you. It's really hurting you, because you're the one who has to relive these things over and over and over again. It doesn't matter how many times you throw it into their face or bring it up during an argument or whatever. You're the one battling with that. They only battle with it when you bring it up to them. They're living their life. They're going on until y'all get into an argument and you bring it up again. But you're the one sitting on that information like, I'm going to pull this out at this time. I'm going to do this at this time because I'm going to make you remember. You're not going to be around me and think that things are all good and gravy. And if that's how you get down, you really don't need to be around that person anymore, because you're putting the blame on everyone else except for yourself. You don't have to stay in that situation at all. You can learn what your boundaries are, enforce those boundaries, stay consistent with your boundaries, and tell people how to treat you, teach people how to treat you. So, all in all, not forgiving people and forgiving on false pretenses hurts you more than it hurts anybody else. So, that whole thing of I'm going to give them their karma, you're giving yourself your karma. You're making yourself go through the same lesson again, just at a higher intensity because you won't let it go. And I'm not saying letting go of things is easy. It's not. It's not an easy thing to do at all. It takes years to let go of things. But you have to be real with yourself in order to get there. You're not going to be able to forgive people and have new things come into your life if you want to stay where you were at and keep reliving that and replaying that and think that everyone owes you something because of what they put you through. So you know what time it is, y'all. I'm about to give you guys some examples of what it looks like for me to forgive and for me not to forgive. Because like I told y'all, when I first wrote this, I was just like, what am I going to talk about? I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know. So two of these examples have to deal with forgiving myself for things. And one example has to deal with forgiving a person because I'm pretty sure a lot of us have been in a lot of different situations where we have plenty of examples of how we need to forgive people, but we don't like to be honest about how we haven't forgiven ourselves for things. So one of the things that I had to forgive myself for was not being consistent with my goals and my dreams and my aspirations. There's been many times where I have set so many goals for myself, planned out all these things and just did not stick to it, and I would get so down on myself like, well, if you would have started back then, you would have been here by now, or if you would have did this, you would be doing this right now. And after doing that so much, I'm just like, okay, wait. Why do I feel so bad about a journey that hasn't ended yet? I can still get to this goal. Why am I being so hard on myself? How can I view this situation differently? How can I view me not being consistent with my goals differently so that I can show myself compassion and be able to actually hit my goals by leaning into this compassion? Because a lot of us feel as if we're hard on ourselves and continue to be hard and continue to be hard, that we'll eventually get there. And so, quick side note, that's one thing I have to extremely, extremely give great thanks to my mom for because she was a parent who did not force me to do anything, honestly. She didn't force me to do anything. She gave suggestions, okay? She's like, "Well, why don't you try this?" That's the type of mom I had. So, for the longest, I was upset at the fact that my mom wasn't the type to push me super hard and make me do things. But, my friends would be like, girl, I wish my mom was like that. I wish she would get up off of me. Like she always trying to tell me what to do. And so I'm able to lean back into those moments in my childhood where I remember voicing like, oh, I just want to do this. I just want to do that. Or I wish I was this good or da 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 da. And I can remember my mom being like, well, it's okay. Like you'll be able to do this time, or you'll be able to do whatever. It was more of a softer approach to it. She just let me know that you'll be able to do it. Don't worry. That is one of her biggest models. Do not worry about it. So if you're listening, girl, I'll be listening to you. But yeah, I had to sit back and look like, well, why am I so hard on myself about these goals? Where was I at during the time of me trying to reach these goals? Why didn't I reach these goals? And I had to take into account all the things I was going through during the times that I wanted to reach these goals. It's not easy. It is not easy growing up trying to figure things out, especially when you feel like you're kind of doing it alone. It's almost impossible to figure things out and reach all your goals at the same time. That's not how life works. You kind of got to go through things, go through the ups and downs, and then you can hit that goal. Go through some more ups and downs, and then you get to the next goal. And so that's what I had to sit back and realize like, okay, well, when I was trying to reach this goal, this is what I was going through. So for instance, I really wanted to up my spirituality, learn more about spirituality, really get into it. And I really opened my mind to it while I was in college. Anybody that's been to college knows that it's just ridiculous for no reason. It really is. And it's not to knock anyone who didn't go to college or anyone who just went to high school or whatever. But college really is just like a whole bunch of stress for no reason. So while I was in school, I was just so upset with myself, like, oh my God, like you said you were going to do this, you said you're going to do that, but you didn't do this. I barely had time to sleep. I barely had time to see my friends. I would get invited to so many things. And I'm like, I can't, y'all. I got to do this homework. I would see them like every 2 or 3 months. It was just like I could barely feel myself. So why was I so hard on myself to try to elevate myself in another way when I'm already elevating myself, learning this new skill? I also thought about the times where I just wanted to, work out more consistently, lose weight more consistently. And then I started thinking like, well, what was holding you back during those times? And honestly, it was many different factors, many different things I went through that prohibited me from staying consistent because of my mind. It was really my mind, things going on, overthinking, trying to find solutions for other problems in my life that being consistent with that type of goal just wasn't on the forefront of my mind. So, like, when I said, like, losing weight and all that kind of stuff, like, I've been trying to get back to the size I was, like, in 2015 for the longest, okay, y'all? Like, I look back at the girl and I'm like, "Dang, girl, you look good." And so I'm like, I just really wanna get back to that, and I had to realize, like, okay, well, how did you get to that in the first place? And looking back on that, y'all, I was like, I should be happy. I should be happy that I look the way I look right now because the reason why I look that way is because I was seriously going through a huge transformation in my life. I had like one of the biggest events happen in my life that I just wasn't expecting. I was on the verge of depression. I feel like those are trigger words. I don't necessarily want to deem myself depressed, but I don't think I was like, medically depressed, but I definitely was, just in a headspace that wasn't healthy. I smoked a lot of cigarettes. I was working third shift, and third shift, I do not want y'all to take that the wrong way. It is nothing wrong with third shift. It's just a different life. Like point blank period. Third shift is a different life. You live a totally different life on third shift. It's a different world. It really is a different world. So those factors, along with me smoking cigarettes and barely eating and just, like, not taking care of myself as much, like, I would work out and stuff like that, but I did it to distract myself, I ate less to distract myself. I worked out a lot to distract myself. I worked overtime a lot to distract myself from my reality that was currently happening, and my home life was just not good for me. It wasn't happy for me. So now I look at myself and I'm like, well, I think I'm pretty happy. I'm happy now. And if this is happy way, then so be it. Like, I'd rather look like this than how I was and feel the way that I was back then. So just thinking, giving myself that grace, forgiving myself for being so hard on myself during this time in my life and realizing that, yeah, it was all nice to look good like that back in the day, but did you feel good? No, like, you feel good now. So, like, forgive yourself for not sticking to your goals back then because you were in a different headspace then. Forgive yourself for not sticking to your goals right now because you're still in a different headspace. You're trying to figure a lot of different things out. Like I told you, like, I'm coming up on my first year in a brand new city, not knowing anybody. Can you imagine how different that is for somebody who y'all heard in the previous episodes couldn't get it out of a car for an hour to go into the gas station. So to move to a whole different city and start your life all the way over, it was life changing for me. It was a lot of things that I went through here. So being hard on myself for not staying consistent to my goals is not helping me get better at reaching my goals. It's making me stay in one place. And so being able to evaluate all the things I went through and all the things that played a part in my life while I was trying to reach those goals really helped me to make peace with it and be like, you know what? You were in that space now. Now you're in a different space where you're actually able to evaluate this and move forward and actually start to make tangible steps to reaching your goals. So be happy about that and forgive that part of the past because that's no longer with you. You went through it, you learned it, you know how to use it in the future. Let's move forward. So, another example of me having to forgive myself was my relationship with money, y'all. Lord, this is a topic. So I've always had a reckless relationship with money, real reckless. Because if you know me, my personal life, then you know your girl was spoiled. I was spoiled. I'm the baby of the family, point blank, period. And so I typically get what I want. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not. And as a person in their 20s, growing up, trying to figure things out, especially before 25, you can say, like, I definitely was like, "Hey, let's blow this money. Let's do some. I got this money. Let's go do something." Like, what? Why would we not? So, I can be honest with y'all, like, when between the ages of, like, 21 and 24, your girl went on, like, 2 to no, not 2, like, 3 to 4 trips a year, and that's not a lot. Me saying that right now, to me, that's not a lot, but it's still a high number, you know what I'm saying? Especially depending on where you go. And for a 21 to 24-year-old, where you got that money to go 3 to 4 trips a year? Like, where does money come from? You should be using this money to do something else. But I also strongly believe that if you're in your 20s and you got a little extra change, live your life, you know what I'm saying? If you go in debt a little bit, go in debt because you can fix it. You know what I'm saying? You can always fix it. And this is very bad advice. Please, please, like, don't tell anyone that I told you to do this, but I wholeheartedly believe that you should just have fun, make your mistakes. You will learn from them. Now, that doesn't mean build bad habits and continue to do that in your adult life, in your older adult life, but have a little fun, okay? Because by the time I hit like 25 or so, I was getting back into college. I think, yeah, I was around 24, 25. And I used all my refund checks from school to pay off my debt. I really did. It was the best thing ever. I got a great credit score. I was responsible with it because I knew I had wild out. Okay. But I also was a 21 to 24-year-old who had a full time job too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was making good money and I was blowing it too. I wasn't putting it in the right spaces. So now I look back and I'm just like, man, if I would have saved some of that money or invested it in something, I probably would be sitting on dough right now. But I'm not mad at myself for living the life that I wanted to live because I have a lot of experiences. Like, people probably don't know that about me because I don't tell all my business, but I lived a life. Okay. I did a lot of fun things. I did a lot of fun things. And I was always going on a trip or always getting what I wanted. Like, I just didn't have no discipline in that. So that is the bad part about it. But I was able to learn that discipline through my mistakes. And I'm able now to look back and be like, you know what? You had a really good time, girl. So forgive yourself for all the things you did. Forgive yourself because you had fun, but you got to put up that boundary. You know, you can't just be blowing a paycheck out here. You know that bills get paid first before you do anything. You know that everybody don't deserve your money. Okay. It don't matter how close of friends you are, who your lover is, they don't deserve your money if you got it. Keep your boundaries up. Keep your boundaries up, but don't keep them so firm that you don't live life. So that was me reflecting on my relationship with money and how it just, it exploded for a while. And now that when I look at it, it's just so different for me. It kind of feels like I manifested, I know that's a trigger word too. I manifested a life that I always wanted to live. I've always had a very expensive, luxurious taste. I've just never had the money for it. But when I'm like shopping online or something, or just, window shopping, I'm like, ooh, I really like that. And I look at the price tag and it'll be like 4 grand. I'm like, oh my, who's paying for that? Who is paying 4 grand? Oh my God, I'm not. So let me just go and find a knockoff somewhere or something. And that's not even like name brand stuff. Like, I'm not a Louis girl or Chanel or nothing like that. Like, I'm not a name brand person, but like little furniture pieces or like a car or something like that. Like, I just always have very expensive taste and I want these things, but I've never been able to actually obtain them. So me being able to look at the way that I used to spend, now I'm able to be like, all those little things you bought, you probably could have got that luxurious thing, but you were worried about quantity over quality. And now your brain has switched. And so I feel like the way that I've always felt like money was just going to come to me anyway, no matter how much I spent it, I kind of manifested that in my life. And I've always been able to find opportunities for me to live the life that I wanted to live. And I've never been the person to just not work. And if I didn't work, it was because I was in school. And to me, that was a job. So I've always been a hard worker, always wanted to be busy anyway. And it really baffles me when people look at people like me and they just think that life was just handed to me. And I'm like, nah, nah. Like if you were my friend or my lover or anything, you would know the ups and downs that I went through to get to where I'm at today. And I deserve everything that I'm at and that I have. And so that's where I have to forgive myself from. I feel like I've had a lot of people in my life shame me over my spending habits or shame me over the money I've had and how I just have a better life or whatever the case is. And I don't like, I'm not in out here living in a mansion or nothing, y'all. Like I'm just not like I'm not rolling in dough like that. It's just I take care of myself. That's really what it is. But I do what I have to do to take care of myself. And just because I don't show what I do to get that doesn't mean that it was handed to me. And that's where people get the game messed up. That's where a lot of people get the game messed up. But I had to realize that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or what they say, that I know what I did. I know what skills I gained from working hard. And I know that at any moment I can get the bag and that I'm a very hard worker. It's nothing for me to get a nice job. It's nothing for me to provide for myself. But it's also to be noted that I didn't get here alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I will be humble to the day that I die that I had tremendous help, but I also didn't take that help for granted. And I also made sure that I matched my energy with that help. If you're helping me this much, I'm going to make sure I give you 110 because I'm not no moocher out here. And I'm going to make sure that you know that I'm working hard towards something because my ultimate goal in life is to provide for everybody. I know I can't do it, but the people closest to me, like I want them to not have to work, and if they do work, maybe come help me run my business or something. And so you can get your business off the ground. But that's my goal in life. And so for me to sit and stay in the mindset of that everyone should have to pay for me or something like I was back in the day, that was not right. And I've learned from that and been able to forgive myself from that. So I want you guys to be able to look at yourselves that way too and be like, I was in a different space then. I was going through different things and I did not see the value in whatever was going on in that time, but now I do, and I'm able to forgive myself. So, this next example and last example has to deal with me forgiving a situation or a person, right? And y'all, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm still in the healing stages of this, so I cannot say that I have fully forgiven, but I can still give, my point of view of this and how I'm working through it. So I'm a person where if I'm in a relationship with you and you've done something to hurt me or, your actions or whatever put me in a situation of hurt, I'm not going to let you live it down, baby. I'm not going to let you live it down. And I have had to really sit with myself with that because I can definitely be the person who just harps and harps and harps on something. And I've had, previous partners tell me like, are you going to let it go or not? Cause like, I don't want to keep going through this. And I'm like, well, if you love me, then you'll stay with me. Like, I don't understand why you can't deal with this. You did it. So why can't you continue to hear me talk about it? Maybe you shouldn't have done it. And so I had to realize that's no way to live because like I said at the beginning of this topic, I was putting myself in more hurt than anything. I was reliving that over and over and over again. But there's something to be said about how hard it is to get over things like that. And so I had to come to myself and be like, okay, either you want to keep reliving this and keep putting this person through a punishment or a karma of some sort, or you're going to walk away and put yourself first and heal on your own. Because I love the quote. You cannot heal in the same place you got sick. And you just can't. You can't think that things are going to get better if you go back to the same place where things were bad. That's like, I've been watching too much All American, y'all. This is all the references I got. But they're part of it's based in Crenshaw and the other part is based in Beverly Hills. And my reference I was going to say is like, you trying to leave the hood or you trying to get out of a gang, but you keep going to hang out in the hood, you know? And so it's like that, it really just don't go hand in hand. Like you kind of got to switch up your spaces and figure out how you can be different. Not to say you can never go back to the hood, but you don't want to go to the same spaces that your gang used to be at because you're going to be sucked right back in if you're able to leave. Because, you know, some people ain't even able to leave. So, not that I know, I just watch TV. So, I had to realize if I wanted to be happy, I needed to let things go. And letting things go comes in many different forms. Letting things go mentally, physically, emotionally, letting things go. And so I'm in the process of letting things go. You know, I've let things go physically. I've started to let things go mentally. I feel like I'm in a way better space than I was a couple of months ago. But I'm still in the space of trying to let things go emotionally because things just hurt, you know? And I can honestly say, I don't think I'm in a space of forgiveness with this particular situation or person because that shit hurt. It hurt, y'all. It hurt. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out what does it look like for forgiveness. And I know for a fact that for me personally, forgiveness is going to have to look like, hey, I forgive you, but these are my boundaries and I cannot let you back in because I've been there, done that many different times. And this is where it's got me every single time. But just because I know that doesn't mean that I don't still have feelings. It doesn't mean that I don't still think about things. And it doesn't mean that all of a sudden that since I have the solution that I can just move on and I can just easily let it go. It's a work in progress. It's a daily thing, a weekly thing, a monthly thing, a yearly thing. It takes time. And I just have to forgive myself in the situation for not being patient with myself because I wanted to just be over it. I wanted to stop feeling those feelings so bad that I just wanted to just be like, I forgive you. It is what it is. But then I'll be lying to myself because if I really forgive you, I wouldn't continue to replay those memories in my head of what happened. Think about what may have happened that I don't know about and just go through all of these different scenarios in my head. And if I tell myself, you know, I forgive you and don't put any boundaries up, then I just revert back to old cycles and it just continues to happen and happen again, like I said. So I don't have a definite solution to this. I know what I want to do. I know that I want to forgive and set my boundaries and possibly just never speak to that person again. Or I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. So this is real life, real time, me trying to evaluate that. Like I just don't know what that looks like for me. But I do know that I don't want to feel that again. And I do know that I can't go back to where I came from. But I don't know what the future looks like for me and how I handle that situation. Because it's like I can be cold-blooded and be like, yeah, nah, just don't ever speak to me again. Or I can be civilized and be like, hey, if I see you in the street. Or I don't know. I don't have an answer, y'all. I really don't have an answer. So I'm still in the process of forgiving. I'm still in the process of figuring out what forgiveness looks like for me and figuring out how it feels to forgive this situation because it is a huge situation for me. And I haven't figured out how it feels to let it go completely. You know, I'm still in that process and I feel way better. Like I said, I feel happier than I did a couple months ago, but I still have moments where I think back about the situation. And I'm just like, ooh, just like really upset about it. And so I just, you know, I want to show you guys my real emotions and my real feelings about this situation because I know that you go through something like this. I know that you have something in your life where you're just like, dang, I can't let it go. I don't know why. I just can't let it go. But I know I don't want it back in my life. But I also just can't let what happened go. I can't let the hurt that I felt go. I can't look past it. I can't just let it go. That's the biggest thing. And I want to let it go so bad because I want to invite love into my life. I want to invite new adventures and new relationships, friendships, family, whatever. I want to invite all these new things into my life. But I feel like I have to work through that first because I don't want to be triggered by somebody else and bring up things that they're not even doing to me because I'm still holding on to that or I haven't forgiven that past situation. So it's hard out here, y'all. It's hard, but we're going to get through it together. And I'm hoping that, a year from now, I could come and be like, that situation I was talking about in the forgiveness episode, I found a solution, y'all. I feel way better, which I feel good now. I don't feel down or anything like that. It's just something I'm actively working through. So I have my moments where I get sad and I have my moments where I get angry and upset. It's kind of like grieving. I'm grieving something that I wanted so bad and that I lost. So, and trying not to get so lost in the details of what happened as well so that I can get to the point of forgiveness. But I'm being 100% honest, I'm just not there yet. But I long for the day that I get there. And I long for the day that we can all get there together and figure out what forgiveness looks like for us, how it feels to us, and the benefits that come from it, because we can talk about it all day, but we won't know for real until we actually feel that airiness in our heart of us letting it go and feel the openness of our heart to accept so many new things and feel good and feel secure and safe and confident with our boundaries with new people and how they honor those boundaries and being able to experience a different form of love and care through somebody else in other situations. So that was a little transparency with my life. And, I told y'all I just easily get deep on y'all. This is, like I said, my dialogue and it just spews out. So I hope you guys were able to feel my emotion through that and feel the desire to want to do better and open my heart for new things. So I want to talk about learning how to forgive and actually put your forgiveness into action, or just how to learn how to forgive, because like I said, this is a learning process for all of us, but I did find some tips and tricks that I feel like can get you there, that you can keep in your arsenal, your wisdom suitcase, whatever. One thing I feel like you can do is find positive examples. Find people who have been through similar situations as you, similar topics. You can find them all on YouTube probably, or by reading a book, whatever. You'll find someone who's been through your situation and how they were able to overcome that. Now, your solution might not look exactly like theirs, but it's nice to hear that people go through the same things as you and what they did to overcome that. So find you some success stories, find you some people who really have been able to forgive their family members, forgive their past lovers, forgive themselves, and try to take some of those characteristics and apply it to yourself and see how that makes you feel. Another tip is to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you are comfortable, you tend to just let your boundaries just float away because you're comfortable. We all like to stay in one place because it's comfy. So learn to get uncomfortable. Learn to want to explore different avenues to get to your ultimate happiness. It might not happen right now, and it's not. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a minute for you to morph into this thing that's going to make you feel happier and to find the tips and techniques that are going to make you feel better. So like I said in my intro episode, I think, there's no better investment than the ROI on yourself. You get that return on your investment with yourself because you put in the work, you went through those uncomfortable stages so that you can be comfortable in the future and be able to work through different situations and scenarios that come to you in the future. So like I said, just get comfortable with being uncomfortable because it's not a comfy feeling. You heard me talking about I don't know how to forgive this one situation. It's not comfortable. I'm still trying to figure it out. And that's going to be you too once you start to dig deep and figure out things that hurt you very deeply and what you can possibly do to help yourself in those situations. One thing that's been helping me a lot in this whole thing of forgiveness, I've found that taking baby steps every day, like in different situations that I'm in, how I can act differently to show forgiveness really helps. And being dedicated to wanting to forgive is going to help. If you don't truly want to forgive something, it's not going to work. You're going to constantly be upset because you feel like you shouldn't have to do all this for this one situation or person or anything like that. But like I said, you're not doing it for them or that situation. You're doing it for yourself. So take baby steps every day on how you can forgive certain situations, whether that be whenever a thought comes up about that person, you follow it up with a happy thought with that person. but don't be delusional about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't believe the happy thoughts over the bad thoughts that cause you anxiety and sadness and things like that. Or whenever you think of things that hurt you with that situation, think of what helped you grow in that situation as well. Just try to combat it. I don't recommend taking your mind off of it and not wanting to think about it and doing other things because that just suppresses it and it makes you want to explode eventually. So, deal with it, be dedicated to forgiving yourself and forgiving others. And one day you're just going to wake up and be like, man, that situation doesn't even bother me as much anymore. Like, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. And the last step I have is to reflect on the situations always reflect. And at the end of it all, reward yourself because shadow work can be very hard, you know? So, whatever your reward looks like, of course, in moderation. If you want a chocolate bar, go get one. If you want to have a nice drink for taking that step towards forgiveness, do that. If you want to go to the spa, get a pedicure. If you want to get your hair done, whatever your reward to yourself is, if going on a walk is a reward, go do that. Whatever makes you feel good, make yourself feel good. And I know we live in this society where it's like everybody has to have a ribbon or everyone has to have a trophy just because they participated. And it's like, I feel y'all. I feel y'all on that. And I don't feel like everyone should be baby. People should have to work for things. But all in all, we also need to learn how to reward ourselves and how to be proud of how far we came and what we can do at this time and space. A lot of us just are so hung up on it needs to be this type of way or that type of way and not just celebrating in what we could do. So reward yourself, reflect and reward yourself. Okay. All right, you guys. That is basically the topic of today. Every time I sit down to record, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Even though I got everything written down, like I just feel like I'm going to like not do it right for some reason. And then I get done, I'm just like, you said that, girl. You said that. So, you know what time it is. We went through our theory section of the class today. So, we're going to go ahead and take that knowledge that we learned, mix it with our experience, and create some wisdom in the lab. Let's go, y'all. All right, y'all. We have shimmied on over to the lab and we have our shadow working prompts. So, like I said, if you're new here, this is a place where I give you some homework and I hope you got a notebook and you've been writing down the shadow working prompts because, yeah, they're going to help you. It's going to help you out a lot. So, I have 3 questions today and y'all going to be mad at me at the last question. So, we'll see. So, the first question is how and when have I been closed off to forgiveness in the past? How and when have I been closed off to forgiveness in the past? Number 2, have I forgiven myself for the same things I have forgiven others for? Okay. Number 2, have I forgiven myself for the same things I have forgiven others for? That's a deep one because we'll be quick to forgive somebody else, but when it comes to ourselves, we'd be like, nah, you shouldn't have did it. Well, at least that's me. I need to work on my inner critic, but I'll be hard on myself. All right, you guys. Question number 3. You know how you have like multiple choice, fill in the blank, 1-2 sentences. This one's given like paragraph, okay? I need y'all to think deep for this question. This is a essay question, okay? All right, so I want you to think of a few situations you have had a hard time forgiving and write down the pros and cons, the positives and negatives of forgiving that situation. Okay, so you're basically going to write a list. First off, identify the situations. It can be 1, 2, 3, however many is on your chest. Identify those and then write down the pros and cons, the positives and the negatives of what it looks like to forgive that situation. Okay. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with because that's a deep one. This was a deep one. And it's a deep one because we don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about forgiveness. We don't like to forgive. We like to be the one who got hurt. You know, this is a society who really loves to be heard. We all want to be oppressed for some reason, and I just don't get it. I don't get it. But those are the shadow working prompts for this week. If you ever feel like you don't want to come back to the episode and listen to figure out what the shadow working prompts are, they are on my Instagram at the.w.podcast. Every Friday I upload them, so you have to wait till Friday if you're not going to come back and listen to the episode, but they'll be there for you to get to write in your notebook, y'all. Your girl's voice sounds like she's trying to leave and escape. But we finally reached the favorite part of the show, my favorite part at least, and that is a moment. All right, you guys. So in this segment, we do a 5-minute meditation using the ear method. The ear method is basically a breathing technique where I tell you to inhale and embrace your thoughts, hold and accept that thought, and release and exhale that thought. Okay. So ear, EAR, embrace, accept, release. And I call it the ear method because I want you guys to give yourself a listening ear after you've been dealing with the world all day. You deserve 5 minutes. So for the first minute, I will guide you through the ear method, and then the next 4 minutes is all you. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and take a deep breath in and exhale. Just to clear the energy and get ready for this meditation. Also, I want to remind you guys to breathe in from your stomach and your diaphragm, not your lungs. So don't breathe in from your chest, breathe in from your stomach so you can really get a big deep breath, hold that in and exhale that out. Let's go ahead and get started, y'all. Go ahead and inhale and embrace, hold and accept, exhale and release. Inhale and embrace, hold and accept, exhale and release. Inhale and embrace, hold and accept, exhale and release. Inhale and embrace, hold and accept, exhale and release. Inhale and embrace, hold and accept, exhale and release. The next 4 minutes is all up to you guys. Welcome back. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. I realized in the previous episode, I came back guns a-blazing. I was like, all right, y'all. And I was like, okay, like they just got out of a meditation. We could at least be a little easy on them. So, welcome back, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that 5 minutes and I hope you were not distracted. I didn't give the disclaimer this time, but if you're tuned into episode 4, I hope you were able to tune into the other episodes so you know that I'm serious about you taking those 5 minutes for yourself. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed it and got to zone out and feel your zen for a little bit because I know I did, okay? I hope you guys are able to learn something about forgiveness and be provoked enough and exposed enough so that you can go and do more research about it and figure out what's going to work best for you because you need it. You really do need it. And whatever you thought about in your meditation, I hope that it related to the episode. But if not, I hope it just helps you to clear your mind, clear your space, and clear your energy. So that is it for this week's episode, you guys. It's been great hanging out with y'all. It's been so fun. And I was gonna say tomorrow is Friday because I normally record on Thursdays, but today's actually Wednesday. So tomorrow's not Friday. Oh my God. It's Thursday and I have a really busy day and I'm just like, oh my God. But it's okay because my bestie's coming in on Friday. So that's all that matters. We talked about that. So I hope you guys have a really great week and I will have an update for you guys on how my weekend went next week. These episodes are actually like a week behind, so you guys never truly know what I'm doing the week of the episode drop. So sorry about that, but I'm busy and I'll be having to record ahead of time because I'm a one woman show over here. I gotta edit the podcast. I gotta put the music in, make the music, do all this stuff. It's a lot. I have to edit and it's a lot. So I have to keep myself on a schedule. So sorry if it's not, as current as you'd like, but we're not here for current events. We're here for emotions and self-evaluation. So like I said, it's been a great time hanging out with you guys, and I hope you guys have a great and fulfilling week. Make sure you do something that makes you feel loved this week. But before I let you guys go, make sure you tap into our social media at the a.w.podcast on IG and TikTok. And if you want to listen to this episode and this podcast on different platforms than what you're listening to, you can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud. And if you want to watch this, always hit up the YouTube because I'm gonna always be over there. Don't forget you can leave a comment for a word from the fam on my IG, on my SoundCloud, on my YouTube, wherever you want to go. Okay? Leave a comment and I'll be sure to feature you. So with that being said, you guys, I will see you guys in the next session. All right? Bye y'all.